Fighter skins in fighting has always seemed like a strange case to me. On one hand, if you like how a fighter works but hates how it looks, it's nice to have another option to choose from. But on the other hand, skins usually look like they would function differently from their counterfighter. And I've always thought it would be neat if cool looking weapons like Witchlaser had more of an identity than, it's Hyperlaser but for rich people. So I took a large number of fighter skins currently available in the game and gave them their own set of stats ranging from slightly modified side grade to the original to completely new fighter idea that's not balanced at all and a ton of fun. For this video at least, I'm going to be modifying skins that are relatively unique and actually obtainable so it can keep the OG to win to a minimum. Basically, if it's not an award skin or directly purchasable, then it's going to be fair game. I'm also not going to be touching the original models, most of the summer skins, and Cutie Space, since even though they're technically reskins, they have enough unique design that makes them notably different from their counterfighters. Alright, let's go. Oh, also before all this is an over-the-top parody of a Great Blue TF2 video. Please don't kill me. Knights are pretty awesome in my opinion. Big clunking armor that hits a heavy basic swing, but I never understood how Egobworder was able to stay on that skateboard while carrying half a ton of metal on them. So let's change that. The idea is to turn Skateboard from a mosquito only running to pick off low targets into a more tankier snowball character, leaning towards more offboard use. Strong offboard basic hits and more consistent stuns lets them actually do something other than run around and hoping that it's just a 5 HP character. By starting off relatively weak and quickly becoming powerful while having to decide when to charge, the extra damage and bonus tankiness will help kill weaker duelers while not being strong enough to deal with stronger ones in the game. By the time you max out on beans, you should be on par with the stronger duelers like Shuriken, while having to avoid the top end ones such as Katana and Banhammer. Overall, you're a much speedier version of Sword with more stuns rather than grapples. I think it will be genuinely extremely fun to play, full on charging and then stunning and getting a kill and running off again, and just repeating that until you're strong enough to start actually taking on like a good amount of the team. While other Vinestaff skins have cool enough visuals to be unique enough, Vinestaff is pretty much just Vinestaff with a cute outfit. Although the idea of more plentiful Sprouts version does not sound too bad, so here's what I had. By reducing healing while quickly blooming into a ton of Sprouts that have more effect, I had more of a quantity over quality idea here. It does change out the playstyle to more of an offensive Vinestaff, placing more of a valley rather than just a small cluster to heal people fast. Due to the higher amount of Sprouts it would make, I probably would remove Root just because stunning would be annoying. But overall, it's a much quicker setup and keep up rate while having to sacrifice individual healing. So I want to preface this by saying when I wrote this, it was before the Shuriken buff. So never mind on this, I guess. But it was supposed to be reversing how Katana is supposed to be working. With higher move speed and more spring speed, while instead of bringing people towards you, you go to them with your grapple. I think it will be like a very, very fun idea. I kept the shield the same because I didn't want it just to be Biograph, but again. So I kept it the same while maybe having a more of a dive offensive build-up idea with it. Overall, it's just you jump into people, you go ham, and then you hopefully escape. Now Witchlaser for a while was the most expensive skin that could actually be bought. I had more of an idea of his highest potential, which is headshots. Giving Hyperlaser like a subclass focused around getting headshots would be very, very fun, very skill based. Completely gutting his damage everywhere else while making his headshot absolutely shred through people would be an insane dopamine rush. Making it very hard to hit it because you don't, not getting like any lucky headshots for the most part. Giving him more of a resource management idea rather than his quicker action, and then having his firing speed be a lot slower and having a lack of mobility would make people choose their spots and prey on their aim. I think this skin deserves this playstyle based off his legacy. Boombox is a very interesting fighter, with most of their gameplay focused around affecting the enemy's movement rather than their own. But what if we swap that around? Rather than moving enemies around with ease, you can easily move yourself much easier. Along with that, their center point gameplay is to increase their jump height and then jump on enemies and use beat drop to slam down for major damage. However, you cannot pull or push enemies, and you don't really gain haste from your ultimate. Me personally, I don't play boombox often. It's just not my kind of style. Rhythm bass isn't much for me. But if you make them more of a market garden, it would by far be one of my favorites. Okay, in the video that Great Blue made, they made 3 different soldier type of weapons, and I kind of don't want to make the same changes just for like different characters. Anyway, I think it'll be a fun skill check for slingshots if they were able to get headshots. While kind of killing off their M1 spam, their headshots were much more powerful. Hitting headshots would still deal more damage than the original full charge M1s, kind of incentivizing that you go for headshots instead of spamming. Also bleed for 8 seconds because it's innovative and well designed. But you know what's better than headshots? No headshots. And wireframe for everyone. Or something. This completely reworks Hyperlaser into more of a damage support rather than a pick class. Wireframe now increases damage dealt on targets from everyone. However, you sacrifice your damage. While you can't absolutely destroy light and medium characters, you can definitely help your team clean up a fight. Also, this lets you roleplay a Sydney Sleeper Sniper, throwing your neon blue piss at everyone while rocking 500 assists and only 2 kills. Thank you to Dead in the Fighting Discord for this absolutely amazing idea that we all love. There's a lot of piss and hazard in the game. Like a lot. I think it would be pretty awesome to substitute damage kills with environmental kills for Banhammer. There's a lot of text here, but to sum it up, most of the changes just make you do major knockback rather than major damage. And I think it'll be insanely funny to see 2 Banhammers Beyblade battle each other until one of them goes flying off screen. Next up is Sianachkit, which is honestly my favorite skin in the game. I love how it looks. Having it hopefully be able to heal more but require your team to get the heals himself seems fair. It does require your team to actually be competent enough to hit the targets. However, the rejuvenation gives armor and passive regenerations to people that's inside of his AoE, which could help some teammates who lack said competency to maybe get some good healing back. It turns Medkit more offensive rather than their normal babysitter gameplay loop, while not entirely stripping away their healing abilities. Also, I love Scottish mythology, and I think having it look like deers are hunting you would be insanely cool. Now on to another really well-made skin. This one's a lot more popular, Reaper Scythe. I think making health into a resource would make a version of Scythe that focuses on resource management and skill very, very fun. It will make more of a separation between people who spam M1 and people who actually pick their fights. Choosing targets require much more thought, as if you take too much damage then you will have to heal it back or immediately lose the fight. Also, mobile enemies would be much more dangerous because they can just avoid your crits. It forces a more thoughtful and placement approach, as you have to place yourself in crit range against unprepared or low DPS targets. Onto another Scythe skin, Dutchman Scythe, which seems to be left behind after the release of Reaper. When I was writing this up for the first time, I had just finished watching a documentary on pirates. One of them was well known for like mixing unarmed combat with like a long-range weapon and being like one of the best marksmen in the Atlantic. I thought that was very cool. And then I also realized Dutchman Scythe can almost be a 1-to-1 recreation of that. So, by removing her melee heavy style into a long sniper, it makes their entire gameplay almost an inverse. From doing heavy close range damage and picking off enemies with your guns, it now turns into long range damage and getting a quick slash to finish off a target. It also turns Scythe's mode ult into a stun rather than major damage, which would I believe would be a really cool combo with a fully charged gunshot to get a major pick. Overall, I think flipping the whole character on his head would still make an extremely fun gameplay loop, and one that I would potentially main if it came out. So that's it. In all fairness, I think I only want like the medkit change. The rest of these were me just writing down crack dreams. Again, don't take any of these as something I would genuinely want. Me, some friends, and some people in the Fighting Discord were all just laughing while I was making these stupid ideas. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Bye bye.